Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
My good friend Troy sent me a note last night. Said, Steve, did you hear about the judge in Oakland County? And I said, no, I'll have to look this up. And there had been some murmurs that something was going on, but the story broke yesterday as to exactly what happened. This is not good. This is not good. So I've mentioned before, I've been in front of a lot of judges in Michigan, and I think the vast majority of them are good. But once in a while, you encounter a judge who just doesn't get it, and here is such a judge. From the Detroit News, Kara Berg wrote the story, caught on audio. Oakland County judge called self a new racist and used gay slurs. And she said some other stuff too. But what's a new racist? I don't know. We'll see. An Oakland County probate court judge who was removed from her docket last week for unprofessional conduct, turns out made a series of comments about black people and used gay slurs, including at least two, against the Oakland County executive before her removal, according to audio recordings obtained by the Detroit News. And they posted them. They're on the internet. So if you go to the Detroit News website, look up this story about the judge. You can see a whole bunch of recordings you can listen to if you want to. They're not long, but the 6 recordings are verified by the office of the executive, who apparently was the one being spoken about, and Oakland County Board of Commissioners chairman. They confirmed that they say it's the voice of probate court judge Kathleen Ryan. They include graphic statements about the executive, who is gay, and refer to black people in the United States as lazy. And it gets worse. The recordings are now connected to a state judicial misconduct investigation into Ryan. The executive's spokesperson said on Thursday. The judge was removed from her docket August 27th. She will remain on leave by order of the chief Oakland County probate court judge, pending the outcome of a judicial tenure commission investigation. I've mentioned before that the judges are overseen by the Judicial Tenure Commission, who, of course, eventually answer to the Michigan Supreme Court. And so they're going to investigate this, figure it out, and then they'll make a ruling on this. But it's unclear when the recordings were made or if Ryan consented to being recorded. But it says here that the recordings, if you add them all up, come out to roughly a minute in length. She did not respond Thursday night for comment, and her attorneys couldn't be immediately reached. The probate court administrator declined to comment on the removal, but he told the TV station that he is the one who recorded the audio of the judge and submitted a sexual harassment complaint against the judge. He also said he sent the recordings to Michigan Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Clement and other officials. But he said that he later then also filed a notice of sexual harassment, but nothing had happened. And so apparently the implication here is that after he sent these, after he made these complaints, nothing happened. So then he said, okay, fine, and he released the recordings. He said, I just want to make this right, the administrator. I haven't filed a lawsuit. I'm not looking for a payday. I want to keep my job and do it in peace. And I want the people in Oakland County that come to court to get a fair shake, to have their day in court, to have an unbiased trier of fact. The chief probate judge said that when the administrator of the probate court reported the sexual harassment to her in May, that she did contact the state court administrator's office and the county, but that he did not give her any of the recordings until last week. And that was when she had removed Ryan from her docket. She said he sent the recordings out without her knowledge. As soon as I heard the recordings, I took immediate action, the chief probate judge said. She declined to comment on the recordings other than noting that they were obviously troubling. Now you might say, Steve, how troubling are they? In the recordings, Ryan can be heard calling the Oakland County executive a gay slur and telling him to put that in your effing ass and stuff it. And I've got to clean some of this up because she didn't say effing. She also said the executive was more concerned about the effing AIDS vaccinations. The recordings were short, did not give much context for the larger conversations. It is unclear where or when they were recorded. Ryan is heard in the audio saying that, as far as I'm concerned, the executive is a skinny white girl. She also made a comment about how black people from countries other than the U.S. are better, and that if you're an American black person, then you're an effing lazy piece of shit. Like I said before, I was not racist before, and again, this is a quote, I effing I'm not even sure what the H-E-L-L, I'm not even sure what that could be. I am right now. I really effing am now. I can honestly say that, okay? I'm not systemically racist. I'm a new racist. I never was, but now I am because you're shoving this stuff down my throat, making allegations that you don't know about. You're telling me who I am, and you've never effing met me. So she's obviously saying that she's reacting to how other people treat her, but she also said another person is a effing C sucker. He's just a dick. I have no use for him. So the executive of the county said there's absolutely no place for harassment of any kind or for racist or homophobic language by anyone in Oakland County, especially by someone the public must be confident will act fairly and impartially. That's the executive speaking in a statement. The alleged conduct and abhorrent comments made by Judge Ryan merited her removal from the probate court docket, pending further investigation. I have confidence the agencies reviewing this matter will treat it with seriousness it deserves and will take further action if warranted. Meanwhile, the county board chairman said that if what is on these recordings is accurate and true, that Ryan needs to do the right thing and save the people of Oakland County the embarrassment and resign immediately. The county board chairman said, I can't express enough the disappointment and disgust I felt after hearing the recordings. Bottom line, this type of hate speech dishonors the black robe, corrupts blind justice, and costs a loss of public trust in our judicial system. And this is important to remember, and this is kind of glossed over here, but he says blind justice. Oakland County Courthouse has out front a statue of Lady Justice. And for those who don't know, Lady Justice is a figure where it's a woman and she's blindfolded. And in one hand, she's got scales, the scales of justice. And the other hand, she's got a sword. And the sword represents the enforcement of the law. And the scales of justice indicate that she will measure things and do justice based on the merits of cases. And the blindfold indicates that she'll do that without concern for who is in front of her. Everyone gets treated the same. And that's extremely important that people believe that, and it needs to be true. You don't want one person going in front of a judge and getting a ruling one way, and someone else getting a ruling going the other way, and the only difference being their skin color, for example. So the county board chairman is right on with that. The Judicial Tenure Commission executive director declined to confirm if there is an investigation, but the commission handles investigations into judicial misconduct on or off the bench, and in most cases are handled confidentially within the commission. It is rare for judges to be removed in general, especially before their case is adjudicated, but we see it happen from time to time. Ryan does not have any previous public Judicial Tenure Commission complaints, according to the website of the JTC. She's been on the bench since 2010 and is next up for re-election in 2028. She was charged in a misdemeanor domestic violence case back in 2021. That case was dismissed in March of 22. The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office did not respond for comment on why that case was dismissed. So you've got a judge who said a whole bunch of things, okay? If you're an American black person, then you're an effing lazy piece of shit. I'll say it. I'm sorry. I said it. This show is no longer G-rated. But you might say, but Steve, she didn't break any laws or anything, right? I mean, what are we talking about here? What we're talking about is the standards to which we hold judges. And I've mentioned before that there's a thing called the Code of Judicial Conduct. Code of Judicial Conduct. And you can look this up, for instance, in Michigan, by going to Google and typing in Michigan Code Judicial Conduct. And up pops the rules. You can read them. And they're really simple. And interestingly, if you simply start at rule number 1, they call them canons, but C-A-N-O-N, canons. And canon number 1, for instance, is a judge should uphold the integrity and independence of the judiciary. Now, we're not going to claim that this proves that she's not independent, but the integrity of the judiciary. Do her actions shine badly on the integrity of the judiciary? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Most people would say she's violated canon number 1. You go, but Steve, come on. Canon number 2, a judge should avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety in all activities. In all activities. Not just when you're in the court, not just when you're sitting on the bench, not just when you're wearing your robe. Avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety in all activities. It literally means that you are on the clock 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with what you're doing with your reputation. Is it an impropriety for her to say things such as, I effing am now, regarding being a racist, saying I'm a new racist, and then calling somebody else an effing sea sucker, he's just a dick, and doing all of these things while she's a judge. And this wasn't like somebody snuck a bug into an office and caught her talking to herself, okay? She's having a conversation with somebody. When you're talking to somebody, you should be aware of the fact that they can hear you. Okay, but you go, Steve, come on. That's just 2 rules. Any more? Sure, let's go to number 3. It's like they wrote these for her. 3, a judge should perform the duties of office impartially and diligently. Now, you might say, but Steve, she wasn't performing the duties of her office. This wasn't while she's on the bench. So does 3 apply to her? Absolutely, it does. A judge should perform the duties of office impartially. Impartially. So right now, you've got a story that I suspect is going to be national news about a judge saying extremely inappropriate things about gay people and black people. And now, if you find yourself in probate court in Oakland County, Michigan, in front of this judge going forward, especially if you are black or gay, do you think she's going to give you a fair shake? Like that other guy said, a fair shake. That's all we want is a fair shake. Do you think, would you have faith? Would you be confident in her impartiality? I wouldn't be. And so here's the thing. Some people might ask what probate court is. Probate court is a section of the circuit court in Michigan, but many states obviously have this division. And they oversee things like estates and guardianships and mental health and, caring for developmentally disabled and so on. And so the probate court does handle extremely important and extremely touchy and emotional cases. And so I'm not saying that everything in there is explosive in that sense, but it is very, very serious stuff. This is a court where the judge is making decisions of extreme importance, and there are going to be unhappy people. And there often are unhappy people in court. But when you walk out of court and you're unhappy, and you say the judge ruled against us, and you're wondering, is that because I'm black, or is it because I'm gay, or is that... That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it's supposed to work. So you might say, and again, I salute my audience for doing this, but I have some people in my audience who question things. They immediately go, let's play devil's advocate. What could be the other side of this? I was thinking about that, going, what could possibly be a defense to this? And the only thing I could think of is, like, let's suppose that it's not her on the tape. Let's suppose they found someone who sounded just like her. Or there are programs now that can mimic human voices by using samples and AI and things like that. And I've seen programs where they show that. Okay, I understand that's a possibility. I'll admit, she has not raised a defense yet that we know of. She may just simply be defending herself with a JTC. If that's the case, we might not hear what her defense was for a while. But we'll see. But the Judicial Tenure Commission is going to look at this and eventually rule on it, and we'll find out then. But as of right now, we have a judge in Oakland County, Michigan probate court who's saying all kinds of inappropriate things, and there are recordings of these things. So, for instance, she calls the Oakland County executive a gay slur and tells him to put that in your effing ass and stuff it. And later said, as far as I'm concerned, he's a skinny white girl. And if you're an American black person, then you're an effing lazy piece of shit. I can't imagine how she could stay on the bench. I can't. And it gets back to the three canons I told you about: the integrity, to avoid the appearance of impropriety, and being able to perform the duties impartially. And here's an example where she's done this to herself. She has put herself in a situation where she can't do her job impartially. And even if she said, no, I will going forward, no one would believe her. And I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame anybody who said, I got in front of her and she's the one who doesn't like black people. She doesn't like gay people. That's why she ruled against me. And I have a hard time telling somebody, oh no, I'm sure she's fair with you. So we'll see what happens, but it is a crazy story caught on audio. Oakland County probate judge called herself a new racist. And by the way, what's that mean? And what is it saying when you point out that you are a racist, but a specific kind of racist versus the other kind of racist? I've never heard anybody splitting hairs in that. And she also used gay slurs. Kara Berg wrote that for Detroit News. Troy and others sent it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. The man in the video is just a guy talking to himself in a room with a camera. And yes, he is an attorney.